is alive.
Okay, this is my third video on doing the robot from Sterling. I did two other videos. The first video I did was just a brief introduction of the parts, one particular stage of the build, and at the very end I showed the robot moving about, singing and dancing, playing music and sounds. And then on a second video I did, I was a little bit more detailed on the parts, paying close attention to how the parts are assembled and key areas that you need to be aware of in order to assemble the parts and put them on the robot correctly. In this video we're going to be talking about the head, because I think the head is the most difficult, if not the most difficult part of this build. Where we're at in this particular stage here is, and I'll zoom in on the instructions so we can take a look, move my camera over. This is where I've already completed this stage here, and this only takes about maybe 5 minutes to do. It's very, very simple. This stage is the beginning of the assembly of the internal parts of the robot, and they want you to take the servo, put it into the robot using two screws, a 56 and a 61. This is more like a post screw. And then after that, I'm going to put the robot over here for a second. Then after that, to complete the assembly, they want you to take the 10 pin of the power and the pin of the servo and put it into the board that's going to go into the robot and to this orientation. The board doesn't go in like this as I have in the pictures. The board goes in like this. And so while the board is underneath, you need to then reach under and try to get this 10 pin and this other pin in while the board is in this position here. And that's very difficult to do, plus the fact they also want you to do the same thing for the eyes. So to show you what I mean by all that, let's start with the servo. They want you to put the servo in, so that's what we're going to do. So this is the, I'm going to zoom out. So this is the front of the robot, and the first thing that we need to do is to get a 56 screw. So we go in our box of screws and we get a 56 screw, and they're the small screws right here. And you'll notice that there is kind of a hole right here in the servo where the screw is going to go, kind of a slot. I'm going to put the screw into that slot, and then I'm going to move the pin here to this side, and then I'm going to put the servo on like so, making sure it goes into that hole here inside. There's a post. I want to make sure that that post goes into the hole, and get this away from here. This is not the hard part here, by the way. It's just kind of a little bit of a difficult, slightly difficult, time-consuming, so you want to take your time on this. So get the robot situated so that you can get that screw in. Get our tool and screw it into the hole there. Okay. All right. Okay. So now that's in. And then the next thing they want you to do is to put this in. And that is not very easy to do. It's very hard to get to actually screw that in, because there's really it's very difficult to do because you really can't grab it. But you can, if you take your time on it, you can. Okay? So now that's in. Now the next thing they want you to do is take this and put this on top. Now once this is on top like this, and you're holding it right here, you need to get this cable here into the slot. And no matter what you do, it's very hard to get that 10 pin in to that slot. It's just I have a hard time trying to do it. I don't know if it's because, you know, I don't have the patience for it, or I don't have the right tool for it, or I'm not experienced enough to do this. But it's just very difficult to get that pin in with a servo here. And it's going to be even more difficult to try to get, so you got to move this out of the hole here and get this in here. The whole thing is just, it's just very, very difficult to do. Let me show you what I do. I'm going to take the pin out, if I can, and then let's unscrew the servo here. Remove that. Essentially what I do is that I take all the electronics and I plug them into the board. So now the first thing I do, make life easy for me, is I take the board, and the airplane going by. I'm going to zoom in just a bit here. Take the board and I put the 10 pin in first. Now see how easy it is for me to do that without that servo in the way? Right. Plug that in. So now that 10 pin is in. Only took me a few seconds to do. Okay. So just make sure that's all the way in. Okay. Then I take the servo and I plug it in to where it needs to go. Which is in that plug just right next to the servo plug. And then the only plug I've got left now is this plug here, which is where the lights are going to go, the eyes. Okay, and we plug that in. Get that the right way around. All right, now those are all in now. So now we've got all the electronics in. Now we put in the servo into the there we go. That into the center hole. Now we screw that screw in. Almost kind of like self-aligns itself for that front screw. All right, now the other thing I do is I take the pin that they want you to use, and when you put the dome on, you're going to be using a 56 screw again that's going to go on the top of this. So I pre-thread this with a 56 screw, and this is going to help me to get this post into the back of the servo here. And I use that screw. There we go. There's the screw hole. Put this on now. Okay, so now that post is in. Then I'll take a pair of pliers. Unscrew this screw, the 56 screw. Okay, just about there. All right, so now that's been removed. Now all we have to do now is to finish the assembly. You'll notice that here there are, move the light away here, there are two slots. There's a slot here. I don't know if you can see it. I'll try to move the board away a little bit. There's a slot here, and there's another slot up here. That's where the light board is going to go into. So the light board goes in like so. Okay. Then you take your dome and you put it right on top. And all that's left now is to take the 56 screw for the back. Okay, that's in. Then the other two screws that go into that dome is a 59 screw. The 59 screw is a long screw. You need two of those. We put a screw on this side, making sure that the dome is on there nice and flush with the bottom part of the head, and then we screw those screws in. There's that one. I'm only doing them thumb tight here, just to get them going. And then once I get one tight in there, I tighten up all the others. And I'm only doing this just until I feel resistance, because you don't want to break the dome of the head here, because that's made out of plastic. So I just do it just a little, and then I take my smaller tool, make sure that that back is all nice and secured as well. Okay, and it is, and that's it. Now you got the dome, the head all assembled, and that's my method of how to get on it. It's still a little fiddly. It's still a little difficult to do, but I still think in terms of the board, in terms of the components that you need to do, it's a lot easier, I think, to get all the electronics onto the board first. I'm going to zoom in on the instructions. Is not to do this first. Get all the electronics on the board first, then assemble the servo on to the robot, and then complete the build that way. Because this cord right here is so small that there's just no room to really comfortably get it into the board that you need to go into. I hope that helps you out when you get to this stage. If you like what you saw and you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. Other than that, have a great day and have fun in your workshop.
Nice software.